This video is brought to you by 3, bringing you 4G at no extra cost.
Hey guys, welcome to BTech. It's Basil here with a Sony Xperia Z2, Z3 and an iPhone 6. All of these phones use PLS or IPS displays of sorts. That's a form of LCD. Though Sony make their own, it's a triluminous display with Sony's X-Reality for mobile picture engine pushing everything through. Now we're going to use it in its default state. We're not tweaking anything, so it's most representative of the kind of experience you would get out of the box. So you can change white balance and toggle the X-Reality engine on and off. As for the iPhone 6, Samsung makes that display, interestingly enough. How do they stack up against each other though? Well, we flick them all up to max brightness, and our first finding is that the iPhone 6's display is the brightest of the bunch. We can really clearly see that by bringing them into frame and seeing how much each throws our camera off. And you should have been able to make out that the Sony Xperia Z3 was brighter than the Z2, and the iPhone is the brightest of the bunch. Now we're going to start with the Xperia Z2, and this screen impressed us in a lot of ways. For starters, it was the first Sony screen that had great viewing angles, and indeed it does. You can practically see right up to the point where it becomes flush with the camera. It also had very saturated colors, as saturated as an AMOLED. The Samsung Galaxy Note 3 and 2 at the time had less saturated colors than this, and also you had a nice gradation across from black to white with nice deep blacks on there. But our one pet peeve with it was that it wasn't bright enough. Outdoor viewability was not brilliant. The Sony Xperia Z3's outdoor viewability and indeed brightness is significantly better. This is good for the most part, though there are compromises, and it's worth noting these two screens are the sharpest. The iPhone is a fair bit less sharp with its pixel density of around 326. You've got over 400 ppi on these two displays. Anyway, back to the coloration, and you can see the Sony Xperia Z3 has purer whites. They have a more blue hue to them, less yellowy. Despite the fact you've got white balance control on this, the out of the box state really does showcase the Xperia Z3's newer display technology. You can also see you've still got those very, very vibrant colors, but that brightness is giving them an airiness that they lack on the Xperia Z2. As for the actual black gradation, you can make out 1%, 2%, 3%, 4% black on the Sony Xperia Z3, whereas it's deeper blacks on the Z2. Deeper blacks are nice for a lot of things. They're nice when you're watching black heavy movies, when you're looking at things with black borders, for example, and they melt into the background. But we can appreciate that the brightness advantage that you get with the Z2 by contrast to the Z3 is going to benefit you much better outdoors. And you can also see those lines, those whites, how much better did they look? So much more defined, so much more bright white and crisp. So we've established the Sony Xperia Z3 is the better of the two displays. So we're going to put the Z2 to one side for now and bring the iPhone into frame. Now the iPhone, just like the other two, packs stellar viewing angles. In fact, probably the best of the three. Well, let's bring the Sony Xperia Z3 in to confirm that. So we can zoom out of that picture and pan up. Pretty similar, side by side. iPhone is a little bit better, but you can see exactly what is going on both displays, which is stunning that we're getting to compare devices like this. It really is testament to how far we've come. Now we can take a look at some of those colors, and we are upside down on here. So the iPhone 6 is not as saturated, it isn't as poppy. The red looks more orangey, doesn't look quite as AMOLED-y, dare we say, even though this is all LCD tech on show. Right through to the other end, the colors are a tiny bit more muted. It reminds us a little bit more of the HTC One M8, for example, but brighter, very, very bright. You can see the whites are super pure, very similar to the Xperia Z3, but very different to the Z2. These are a lot bluer. The Z3 is the bluest of the bunch. The Xperia Z2 was a little bit orangey. The iPhone is near the Z3. It's the most balanced, we'd say. Again, white balance on here that you can control, so don't worry about that too much. You've also got great deep blacks on here, which surprised us because this is such a bright screen. We anticipated it to have grayer blacks, but the iPhone actually trumps the Xperia Z3 when it comes to depth of black. So all in all, despite the fact it is the least sharp screen of the bunch, we would have to say that it is probably the best display in many respects. Outdoor viewability, if anyone saw our camera comparison between the iPhone 6 and the Z3, our video camera comparison is also best on the iPhone. Again, testament to its brightness. As for the Sony Xperia Z3 screen tech rationale, Sony has told us they created this tech in order to work with the low capacity battery than the Z2 had to maximize it. So you have pixels actually turning on, turning off and all that jazz. Check out some other articles online to find out details on that, but we can definitely attest to it helping the battery life along. And so that has been a comparison between the screens on the Sony Xperia Z2, Z3 and the iPhone 6. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you've got any questions about anything that we've spoken about, fire us a comment in the comments section below. If you like BTech in general, click subscribe. Thanks for watching.